Evening, good evening. Good evening from Utah. This is the Lighthouse about Utah. You're welcome tonight. I appreciate it. If you're in the state of Utah, I guess I'm also competing in Utah. Their town hall meetings are airing in Utah at that particular time also. I didn't realize that was going to happen last week when I was thinking about it. So great day in Utah today. About a 75-degree day. Just a beautiful day out there. Absolutely enjoy the weather. So I'm Mike Gallagher. I have the Living in Utah channel, and we'll get started. I did have some questions that were presented to me here over the last week, and I will start with a couple of them since I don't have any other questions at the current time. So let's see where we go. Why is it so hard to find rentals? And that was a great question. Rentals in Utah have been more difficult to find. And really, in a nutshell, it just kind of boils down to supply and demand. With people moving into the state and some of the job opportunities, a lot of the rentals, especially in the single-family home market, have been harder to get. And there's something else that I have noticed also would be that, and I don't have any kind of like statistics on this, but I've seen it happen. There have been a lot of landlords, and they're referred to as tired landlords, that have been in the rental business for quite a while, and they've seen the homes all appreciate, and they are probably in a financial position in their life now where they're retired, and maybe they just don't want some of the hassle with rental properties, and they've been selling off their portfolios, investing the money somewhere else. And that will probably always happen, but I've seen it a little bit more and more and more. So with property prices going up, it's a great time to sell. So they have been doing that. Okay, Richard, what type of zoning do I need to look for if I wanted to start an RV park? Great question. So I know a little bit about commercial. Now, it's going to vary by city and also by county. Whatever city you decide on or county that you decide on, I would definitely email, call, text the planning and zoning division. They are usually more than helpful. They'll usually help you a lot. Whenever I've dealt with them, 100% service. But in general, I don't know what RV park exactly comes under. My guess would it's either going to come under commercial zoning or manufacturing and industrial. That would be the two that I would assume that they would be labeled underneath. And there are, in some cities and counties, they have what they call a GIS map. So you can hit like Weber County GIS map, Salt Lake County GIS map, or even some cities. And it will pull up a map on the internet. And one of the options will be a zoning option. And you can see what the current zoning is for a particular piece of property at where it is at. And that'll give you a good idea what the current zoning is. Now, if you are not zoned for what you are looking for, you would have to go in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission with a plan. And typically, it has to be a detailed plan by like an engineer, give all kinds of points to get a rezone done. And rezones are, they go up for vote through the city council usually. And, it's can't always guarantee that they'll get approved. The other thing is some of the cities do have online, when you go in the planning and zoning division, they will list what type of business that they allow. And sometimes they'll also list the particular zoning regulation that you need for that business. But RV parks is on a separate subject. I think it's fantastic. I don't know the space very well, but I can tell you this. that the RV business in Utah has been increasing year after year after year. The state parks that we have that people go camping in is very, very busy. This year in particular, if you did not book literally months in advance for a spot, you weren't going to get a spot. Previous years, it's been very similar. If you waited to like the week of your camping trip, try to get a spot, almost most of them are all taken. In the northern end and the southern end of the state, both high demand. So there is a lot of demand for recreational vehicles, and the sales numbers and everything in Utah has been constantly increasing year after year after year. So it is an industry that is seeing enormous growth in the state of Utah. So great question, Richard. Okay, so we asked about why it was hard to find rentals, and I was just talking to somebody, and I added this to my list, and I thought it was kind of interesting, but I was talking to a friend, and he said, why do you even do YouTube, Mike? I mean, what we were basically talking about was it's brutal sometimes. Some of the comments I get and emails that I get, I almost feel like a politician. You get attacked from all kinds of sides. So, but I do brush them off, and that's why. And we were joking about some of them, and I was going to share a couple. One of them was, or a couple comments you get sometimes is, why don't you hire a model? You would get more likes, more views, more subscribers to do your videos. Well, I thought about that for a minute, and it just doesn't work out. My intention with YouTube was never to grow some kind of channel where I turn into some movie star and I'm doing the latest action film or whatever. I have no ambition of doing anything like that. It's not my gig at all. It was never my take. And the second thing is, whoever the particular model was, you can pick whoever it is, maybe an up-and-coming model. If you were to meet me or want to do business with me in the state of Utah, I think you'd be severely disappointed that you would be expecting that particular person and I show up. So you get to learn by doing videos who I am. This is it. This is me. You know, my looks, my gestures, my accent. It's what you get is what you see. So, and that is really important to me. And that's another reason that I do it, is I like to work with people that want to work with me. So you kind of have a mesh. In this world, not everybody's personalities mesh together. It's as simple as that. So, and I think it's better if you can relate to somebody. So like, I'm not the guy that wears the suit and ties every day, drives a Mercedes. That's not the kind of real estate agent I am. I'm more casual. I drive a truck. I also have a car. I'm an outdoor guy. I love UTVs, love golfing, mountain biking, hiking. That's why I have a truck. I can pull a trailer, whatever. That's my personality. And when you can work with someone who has very similar personality or interests, it's amazing. I'm not the guy who's at the country club all the time, and it's just not me. So that's another reason I do like doing YouTube videos. People get to see who I am, and who they would be working with if they choose to work with me or not choose to work with you, and that's fine too. And the other main reason I really got started with it was we have had a lot of out-of-state buyers in Utah, people moving from all over, and you seem to get the similar questions, you know, like, where should I go to eat? Where should I, what's such and such city like? And it's, you know, by doing the videos, people get to see it. And when I do stuff like best restaurants in Salt Lake City, that's my opinion. That's where I go to eat, or places to grab something to eat around Hill Air Force Base. That's where I go to. That's my personal go-to. So when people have asked me that kind of stuff, you know, time and time again, so I do a video on it. So it allows people to build that knowledge themselves, whether they work with me or not work with me. But and I do not get paid from any of those businesses that are on my channel. I do not ask them for any kind of money or anything like that, or a free meal or anything. It's not my take. It's not worth it. It's purely what I've enjoyed around the local area. So Anybody else with a question there? We want to continue on the RV park. I could answer some more things on that if you got it, Richard. Drop into Utah news a little bit. I guess really the biggest news we had in Utah this week is related to COVID-19 again. The numbers have been increasing. We're over 1,000 new cases per day statewide. And there's not many counties that are not seeing increases. So the state has had to step in and take some measures. They are trying over the next couple weeks to control the coronavirus. And I believe that's what the health officials exactly, they're trying to break the cycle. So they've come out with a new system. We used to have these different color codes, green, yellow, orange. So now they've just come out with 3. You're in a high risk area, you're in a moderate risk area, or you're in a low risk area. And they base it off a county, and they take different numbers and put it into a formula and come out with a county. So the important thing to know, if you're visiting here or you live in the state of Utah, the counties that are in the high would be Cache County. Here's a few of them. There's a few of them that you might be familiar with. Would be Cache County, Salt Lake County, Utah County, and Wasatch County. So Cache County would be the Logan area. Salt Lake County would be like Salt Lake City, West Jordan, those particular areas. Utah County, Provo-Orem area. And Wasatch County would be the Park City area. Those particular high category COVID numbers are requiring masks to be worn when you're going out in public, businesses, stuff like that, mandatory. And that's continuing on until they get out of the high range. So then they drop down to the moderate. And there's some counties around also that are in the moderate, some of the popular ones. Box Elder County, which would be like Brigham City area, Davis County, Hill Air Force Base, Layton, Kaysville, Weber County, the Ogden area, Washington County, which is down by is St. George area, Tooele County, Tooele City, and also Morgan County, which has Morgan City. That's located to the east of like Ogden. They are designated moderate, which means for the next 2 weeks, starting today, you do have to wear a mask. It's for a 2-week period, all mandated mask requirements. So those particular counties. So in a nutshell, pretty much any county you would be visiting in Utah, I'd almost say that you probably will be in a county that requires a mask to be worn for at least the next 2 weeks. And I'm not too sure what they're going to do, because after the 2 weeks, if these counties that are in the moderate are still in the moderate rankings, I don't know if they're going to extend that. I'm not too sure on that there. So we had an interesting thing in the news article that man was hiking up Provo Canyon. This was very rare. This is the first time I've ever heard of this, actually. And he encountered a cougar on his way up the mountain and actually took video of it. It was pretty interesting. It's on the internet. And he handled the situation very, very well and walked away, no injuries. And they came out with some recommendations in which he actually followed the same recommendations. So I thought it would be kind of neat to go over some of the recommendations that they particularly had if you ever encountered a cougar on a trail. They tell you to stop immediately, but do not run away. They want you to maintain eye contact, stand up tall, and make themselves look bigger by raising and waving their arms or jacket above their head. They also say, do not crouch or squat, talk firmly in a loud voice, back away slowly, and leave the area. And that's what this man pretty much did. He kept backing down the canyon, and the cougar ended up turning and running away. So very interesting. You don't hear about it very often, but if you're ever in that situation. Now back to the questions, and I thought this was kind of unique. I forgot about this one. I didn't write it on my list, but I got a question from somebody who was in Europe. and they were coming to Utah to visit. What should they do? So I thought about it long and hard on email. What should I say? And I actually expanded my horizon beyond Utah. I felt that if you're coming from, say, the East Coast, or you're coming from overseas, maybe you should spend 7 to 10 days. And my recommendation was to visit the Grand Canyon down south, which is not in Utah. Possibly, if you would like to visit Las Vegas, stop by areas like St. George, and then you have the national parks in Utah. I would stop by them, stop by Salt Lake City for a little bit, probably Park City, depending on what time of year it is. Even in the summertime, you could always stop by there, do some shopping and some eating, dining. And then my recommendation also was to then head towards Idaho and go to an area like Island Park, which has the longest main street in the United States, which is kind of cool to drive along. Great area, Island Park, and then head up into Yellowstone National Park. So that was what my recommendation was. So if you are viewing from out of the country or the East Coast and you plan on coming to Utah, that would be my recommendation. I think you would have a fascinating trip visiting the Grand Canyon, the national parks, Yellowstone. They are all some of America's favorite places to visit, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people in America would agree with that. Okay. Any more questions for this evening, or is everybody watching Joe Biden and President Trump in their town hall? So, well, I hope everyone has a good evening. Take care. Stay safe. I'll be back next week, 8 p.m. on Thursday. Thank you for your time.